Hey boys and girls, today we're going to take different shapes, a trapezoid, a rectangle, and a square, and describe the shape now that you know the attributes. So I'm going to start with going across. Is it a quadrilateral, each one of these shapes? And we know that a quadrilateral is four-sided shape. So we're going to count each side, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So yes, we know that each one of these shapes is a quadrilateral. Now, is it a parallelogram? We know that a parallelogram has opposite sides that are parallel. So let's look at this trapezoid. We know that these sides, a parallel will go on forever, but remember in the other videos we learned that these two will intersect. So a trapezoid is not a parallelogram. Let's move to the rectangle. Are the opposite sides parallel? Yes, they will go on forever. So yes, this is a parallelogram. Now with the square, same thing. Opposite sides, are they parallel? Yes, they will go on forever. So it is a parallelogram. So now we're looking at, is it a rhombus or not? And we know that a rhombus is a parallelogram that has four congruent sides. And I know I haven't really talked about congruent, same size. So I'll get to that. But we're just going to look today at a rhombus is a parallelogram. Well, we know this shape, trapezoid, is not a parallelogram, so it cannot be a rhombus. Now the rectangle is a parallelogram, but it does not have four congruent sides. These sides are longer than these sides, so a rectangle is not a rhombus. Now a square is a parallelogram, so does it have four congruent sides? 1, 2, 3, 4, and they're all the same length. So yes, a square is a rhombus. So next we have, is it a rectangle? Well, we know a rectangle is a parallelogram with four right angles. So we know that the trapezoid is not a parallelogram, so it is not a rectangle. So we'll move on to the rectangle. A rectangle obviously is a rectangle. It is a parallelogram, and it does have 1, 2, 3, 4 right angles. So it is a rectangle. Now we move on to the square. Is it a parallelogram? Yes. Does it have four right angles? 1, 2, 3, 4. So yes, a square is a rectangle. Now we have the last one is a square here. Well, we know a square is a parallelogram, so it is definitely not a trapezoid. A trapezoid is not a square. We look at the rectangle. Is it a square? Well, it is a parallelogram. It has four right angles, but the difference is a square has to have four congruent sides, all the same length. And a rectangle doesn't. A rectangle has the two longer sides. So a rectangle is not a square. And finally, a square is a square. It's four sides, parallelogram, it has four right angles, and all the sides are the same size, so the same length, so it's congruent, so it is a square. And that concludes describing the shape. Good luck.